Hey everybody, this is Steve with another episode of Keep 'em Rolling, and we're gonna try and make this just a rather kind of short, quick, down and dirty video this evening. I'm running low on fumes right now and getting ready to turn in, but I wanted to try and get a video out because I don't want to wait too long between videos. I had a couple planned, but they didn't turn out because the weather just it didn't cooperate. One was a reenactment I went to that was pretty cool, but it got rained out, and then an antique show I wanted to film at, but it also got rained out. So we've had a very wet fall, late summer and early fall up here in the Midwest, Northwest Territory area. As you can see, a little messy on my desk here. The good news is I'm kind of rounding third base when it comes to getting my war room in shape. So that room tour video that I've talked about is a coming. I'm almost there and I'm really enjoying my room. What we have here, something I've been working on. This was a recent pickup. I went to an antique show and walking around looking at the tables. And this is why it's kind of important to take your time. On one of the tables, I saw this glass jar. And inside this glass jar were all of these stripper clips. These are all your US GI stripper clips for the Model 1903, Model 1903A3, Model 1917 Enfield, and so forth and so on. They would hold 5 rounds, allow you to slide them into the rifle, and then you just discard the clip. There are 37 of these things, and the price that the gentleman had on it was a grand $12, which was just amazing to me. These are still out there. I mean, they're not rare by any means, but they're starting to become less and less available. I've seen these at gun shows go for, $1, $2, $3 each, which is ridiculous. But that's what they're asking, and if they're getting it, I guess that's why they price them like that. So to pick up a jar with all of these for $12 was pretty cool. And you've got kind of the later war, you've got some of the real early war items here. These are, I guess, real early. Just neat. Which is really cool. So you can tell these are GI simply by the tabs. When you look here, you can see the tabs on the end. These tabs were meant to keep the 5 rounds in place so they wouldn't slide out. And then as you push them in, the tabs bend and allow the rounds to leave the stripper clip. You can see the tabs are on there. Sometimes the tabs get bent off or broken off. You can see these have, like this one here's got the tab, and then this side's missing the tab. But oh well. Now, this was not the purpose of the video. These just happened to be on my desk. I was kind of going through making sure they were clean. Sometimes you need to oil them up a little bit, or if the brass is really corroded, you polish them. But they're in pretty good shape. I was inspecting them. Only one of them, there's actually 37.5 because one of them is missing the slide. But oh well, I'll just hang on to it because you never know when a slide's going to manifest. So what I wanted to share today with you, though, is when we do these videos, a lot of times, I should say, when I do these videos, a lot of times I talk about what I have found. But I want to make it clear to all of you that it's not always about buying things or having things donated to your collection. It's about enjoying your collection. There are times when, I go for weeks without going out and shopping or finding anything. Just because you have money to spend doesn't mean you're going to find things to put that money towards. I know guys who've gone to these military shows and who will talk about the desire to bring thousands of dollars with them, lamenting that if they only had thousands of dollars, they could buy really cool stuff. And granted, you probably could, but I've gone to military shows with a couple $100 in my pocket and walked out with 2 or 3 items and a grand total spent of about $20. So just because you got a ton of money in your pocket doesn't mean you're going to find cool things. And this brings me to enjoying the collection. For those of you who collect, don't get frustrated if you're not able to go out every weekend and bring cool things into your collection. Cool things will find you. On those times when you're not out collecting, take a moment and enjoy what you already own. Research what you already own. Preserve what you already own. Nothing brings me more joy than being able to take something and preserve it even more. And that's what I want to share with this. A couple weeks ago, I talked about picking up a grouping of letters at a tractor show. They were in a plastic baggie. The price was reasonable, and it was from a unit that I absolutely love. And I took those letters and I thought, how do you display these darn things? They're cool, But do you just hand a baggie to a friend and say, here you go, read these letters, they're really cool? You go to a military display, how do you display them? So I did some thinking and I came up with this right here. This binder, about $9, okay, at the local office store. It's got this real nice clear plastic sleeve on the front, and I created this document right here to explain what is in the binder. And what's in the binder? Rex Earl DuParc, and I was able to do some research and find out he has a medium build, blue eyes, brown hair, 32nd Division emblem, red arrow. His company, World War I, 1917-1919, there's 23 letters, and then a little bit of biographical information about Mr. Rex Earl DuParc. Now, for those of you who are looking at this going, holy cow, I could never do that. I don't have the time or money to do that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is nothing more than a document created using Microsoft Word. And nothing even fancy about using Microsoft Word. I did the centering technique. I changed font sizes. I did some highlighting or bolding, if you will. I printed in color. This was just simply a capture off the internet, a cut and paste, if you will. And then the border. They have a border function. You just pick it, click it, and there you go. Printed it out, slides in, and it gives it a highly professional look. Now, as far as the research goes, a lot of this information I was able to glean simply putting in his name. Some of it, however, came off the Ancestry database. Now, for those of you who say, man, once again, I don't have the money to get a subscription to Ancestry, that's ridiculous. Check out your local public library. My local public library, as long as you have a library card, and if you live in the district, you can get a library card for free. You simply get that library card, you go there, and they have databases in the building that you can sit down and use for free, as long as you've got your library card. So I was able to go in and pull this information up for free. Okay? Keep that in mind. Some people are scared of the library. Some people feel the libraries are outdated. Far from it. You would be amazed at the fantastic research information available at your local public library. Plus the people that work there. The knowledge they possess, incredible. So check out your local library. Now, I also like this binder because it's got this cool little window on the side, so you don't have to like tape something on the side or what have you. And once again, just a simple Word document. And I was able to create this. There, let's see if I can get that to focus. Once again, his name, red arrow, and then his company, etc. So this is nice because if it's on a bookshelf, you'll be able to just see it and know right what it is. Now, inside the book, what I did, open it up here. I use these sleeves, cost about $10. So now you're looking at between $19 to $22 into creating this book. Okay, plus the cost of letters, you're looking at right around $30 total when it's all said and done. All right, did the letters chronologically. So this one's the first or the earliest dated letter. It's dated November 20th, 1917. I have the original letter in the front. When you turn the page, on this page, I have information about the envelope. A little bit on the top here to kind of give you a reference point. So this is 1917, November 20th at Camp MacArthur, which is in Waco, Texas. Envelope is not available. Return address is not available. Postage is not available. Censor is not available. And then I have a note. And the note simply states that it's a single sheet's been folded in half, 4 pages. All 4 pages have been used. The edge of the letter is purple. No envelope is present. I did all of this in case something happens to this. I take it to a show. Somebody picks it up and goes, look at how cool this is, and drops it, and it busts open, and everything falls out. And I'm like, where did it all go? I can use this information to determine, okay, this letter only had 1 page that was folded. There weren't extra pages. It didn't have an envelope, so I'm not scrambling around trying to find the envelope for this letter. Okay? On this side, I transcribed the letter. Now, I do have a couple things going for me. First of all, in my profession, I read a lot of old cursive, so it was very easy for me to kind of go through and translate the letter. Secondly, I was raised with a father who was a typing teacher, so I learned right away how to type. Not the hunt and peck method, but actually type, which makes it very easy for me to sit down and transcribe these letters using the keyboard. But once again, these 2 pages, Microsoft Word. I just came up with the formula of how it should be laid out. Page 1, we have all the text. Page 2, page 3, page 4, and then how he finishes. Okay? The cool thing is, as you go through, having it like this, you can now read the letters. Instead of trying to read the cursive and get hung up on words, you can just sit and read them right through. One other thing I'll point out, as you look at this, you'll see a lot of semicolons on here. It's not because he used semicolons. What I've done is every time a new line starts on the letter, that's where the semicolon. So this line right here, 30,000 men here now, including the civilian employees. That's one line. And then it picks up again. So it's a reference point. So if you're trying to find that line in the actual original letter, this gives you an idea of where it's at. These letters are pretty cool. It goes through his time at Camp MacArthur, and then it switches over to him being overseas. Let's see, this is somewhere in France, April 5th. And I can't remember what he says here. Basically, he's happy to hear from his family. He always talks about loving to receive the letters. He talks about food a lot. Let's see if we can find this one here that I really like. Pleased to hear from you. Glad to hear you've been turning in old clothes. That was kind of cool. Shows you that a lot of the uniforms these guys have weren't the uniforms they wore over in France. This is the letter right here that I really like. Let me show you the original first. There's the original. Pretty simple. But what's so cool about it, and this is why I encourage you, if you have old letters, take the time to read them. He says, "Dear Aunt and Uncle, somewhere in France, May 28th, 1918. Well, a lot has happened since I wrote you last. Have not got around to write anybody but Mother the last 2 weeks. We are now near the front within hearing of the big guns. We have seen several aeroplane fights since we have been here. It is a common occurrence to see several planes in the air and see the anti-aircraft guns fire bombs and shrapnel at them." Let me go to the next page. Page 2. If a shell gets anywhere near him, when they fire high explosives at him, it is goodbye, Bosch. Isn't that cool? This guy's actually witnessing airplane fights. I mean, that is absolutely amazing, and documenting it, which is really rare to see that kind of documentation. In a future letter, he talks about an airplane coming in and strafing them, which is absolutely amazing. Another thing that he talks a lot about is the YMCA. He starts off kind of in favor of the YMCA, but as time goes on, he feels that they really dropped the ball on him and his buddies. They don't come around, they can't get the paper and so forth and so on. They need to write letters. So he actually at one point tells his family, you know, if you're going to make a donation, do not donate to the YMCA, which I thought was kind of an interesting turn of events. And another interesting thing is he was from Albion, Michigan, and he talks about a cousin who kind of supports the German cause, if you will, and he basically is like, hey, is she still keeping her tune to the German cause? Let me tell you, I've seen horrible things over here, and if she's going to keep doing that, then she won't be a cousin of mine. But it shows you that over here in the States at this time, there were still people who had this, quote, German cause. It wasn't all patriotic, rah-rah. There's still people who were like, hey, we got to support the Germans. So the letters go all the way through his time fighting, etc. And then in the end, he ends up, let's see, this is what? No, American Expeditionary Force. He ends up in a place called, I'm going to mispronounce this horrible, Talhassen, Germany. Taliesin. I can give you a better spelling. Here we go. Sorry. New technology. Woohoo! Taliesin, Germany. Basically, it's where they did occupation duty. So he ends up there for a while. And then the last letter is dated March 16th, 1919. And he's talking about getting ready to come home. So he came home. He survived the war, and he lived into the 1980s. So, just a neat collection, but this goes to show that with a little bit of time and effort, this took me a couple of weeks poking at it here and there. It wasn't something I sat down in one night and accomplished, but the end result is really cool. And what's nice is they'll store nicely on a bookshelf. The other thing that's cool is if a friend comes over and wants to research this, hey, I can hand him the book. Hey, sit down and take a look at this. Read it. Enjoy it. It's like reading a novel. The third cool thing about this is if I ever want to use it for display, I can set it on a table for a military display like I did for the St. Joseph County Fair, and people can thumb through it. I don't have to worry that they're going to touch the letter and ruin it, okay? They can simply flip through and be, this is really cool. So that's another aspect of it. And finally, when I am done using this, if I so choose to divest myself of this and move it on, something like this I'm probably not going to sell. Something like this, it's going to be donated. And maybe it goes to the Albion County Historical Society. They have like a little museum. Who knows where it goes? Maybe it goes to the state archives. But a lot of times these places, they get so overloaded with boxes of stuff coming in that they have to process. Giving them something like this, it's practically ready to simply go into a collection and be put in the catalog for research. They don't have to sit down and do a lot of work. So that's another aspect of this. So the point of this is enjoy the hunt. Enjoy bringing new things into your collection, but don't forget about the stuff you already own. Take the time on a rainy afternoon to just simply sit back, look at your stuff, and really enjoy the collection you've already built. It's equally as rewarding as bringing in that new item. So, on that note, this is Steve with Keep 'em Rollin', reminding all of you to keep 'em rolling.